Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we're really going to take things easy. Things have been a bit challenging and overwhelming recently. I have a lot on my plate, artistically wise and private life and my personal life as well. So I just want to sit down and chill with you guys and just open my sketchbook and fill something with no rhyme or reason. And I hope if you have a sketchbook too that you will join me in the process, grab a cup of tea or a glass of wine if it's evening where you are at, and join me in something which is supposed to be like really low pressure and freeing, liberating. I always do feel better after I have sat and made some art, even when initially I don't feel like it. There are times when I am so productive and then times when I just don't feel like going to my sketchbook at all. So I hope that this will kind of get me out of my rut, of my sketching rut, especially when it comes to sketching. I feel that way quite often, and it's the first area where I notice I start to get really rusty really fast. So I'm going to try and de-rust myself today. So I hope you will join me and that we can have some fun together and chat about a few things, artsy things and creative things and whatnot. I don't know what will come out of my mouth. Let's see. Every week I wonder what I can create for my YouTube videos, and this Sunday I have just decided to unwind with some low pressure art in my largest sketchbook, an A3 by Moleskine. So a brief flip through is going to appear on screen right now, and it will give you an idea of how I am using the sketchbook. In spite of it being so huge, the fact that it's not pure cotton paper makes it less scary, and I just go at it usually late at night without much hesitation, as it doesn't feel too precious. I have spoken about that feeling many times on this channel, so I won't repeat myself again today. I started not even knowing what was going to unravel on this double page spread, as I had no plan, but I knew I did want to start off without a reference photo, just to make everything a little more imaginative, and I feel like I didn't have to put myself in a corner. I know cat's anatomy well, as I have owned cats since the age of 7, so it was quite a safe space for me, and the face you'll see next to the cat just popped out of my head. It's always quite similar. I think it's a matter of muscle memory. Sometimes sketches are just doodles that end up turning into something as you go along. I used a red erasable pencil by Prismacolor, which I discovered in this session. Also blends very well, and I set out to have some fun. And the only difference was that my camera was rolling, it was recording the process, but I almost became unaware of it. And I also felt quite relaxed because I knew this would not take me hours to complete. When I put random subjects together, I rarely lose touch with the piece because it keeps changing direction and new elements get added to the story as you go along, so it never gets boring and you never lose the excitement for it. That is a bit different with watercolour because you get sucked in a bit more, you're more present mentally. I don't know if that's just me, but I can walk away from a watercolour piece and then suddenly the feeling of what I was doing and what made me engage with that specific painting is just gone. So I like to finish it in 2 sessions at the most. For sketching, I work with a kind of puzzle mentality where I try to, or mind frame maybe is a more correct word, where I try to fit things into nooks and crannies. I allow them to overlap and I don't give composition a second thought because when you work this way, it tends to happen on its own. But repetition of small, simple designs and patterns, they can be flowers, spirals, circles, is also a good way to fill up empty sections and to get your creative cogwheels greased. There is no room for perfectionism here. I don't think much about what I am doing. In fact, I will usually listen to a podcast, so my mind is completely engaged in something else, and it's almost like my hand has a will of its own. I know that is not exactly how it works because, of course, my brain is doing some decision making, but it's so far in the background, I barely notice it. And going back to composition, there is one small caveat. I don't think about it much, but I do like to see a balance. So if, for example, I have a dark area or a triangle or any shape on one side of the spread, or up in a corner, let's say, that somehow stands out, I also like to repeat it somewhere else on the opposite side. The two similar elements call out to each other and act as a sort of guide for the eye. It's almost like they start a conversation. And yes, they create a balance, even if they are not mirror images of each other. One might be up in a corner, as I said, and the other tucked away in the lower corner on the other side. I did this with the daisies in the spread. Going back to reference images, I did not draw this whole spread without ever looking at a reference, of course. I just started off that way, and it was with subjects I am extremely familiar with. Of course, I had to look at a few references for the other ones whose exact shape I don't remember off the top of my head. Though I do think that painting or more drawing without a reference is something we should all try now and then because it's a great exercise and very liberating. I think it just makes you experiment in different ways and be creative in a more raw and deep way, if that makes sense, in a way that's more you. Sometimes I think, wouldn't it be nice to just get together with a bunch of friends who like to paint or draw and just do that? I don't really find that local to me in Rome, but if by any chance you are from Rome, which I doubt because all of my audience seems to be from the UK or the States, anyway, feel free to reach out, or even if you're in Portugal and Scotland, which are my other two homes, at least in the summer. For the time being, I am very lucky to be able to do it online with my Patreon community, where we sketch every week on Tuesdays and where I do a guided watercolour expressive portrait twice a month on Thursdays. It is really a very precious and relaxed time that I always look forwards to. If you'd like to join, I will leave the link below the video. But also I have some important news because I will be hosting a free watercolour workshop on expressive portrait painting on Sunday, June the 7th at 5:30 p.m. UK time, which is 12:30 Eastern Time. If you are not yet subscribed to my newsletter, please do so to receive the information and the link to join it. And of course, I will leave that in the description box below this video as well. And I want to wrap this up by saying making these art YouTube videos can sometimes be hard, especially in times like these where you get buried under a pile of other content. I don't believe this niche is oversaturated at all, because I am always on the lookout for videos about expressive portrait painting and watercolour and this kind of more classical illustrative style. And I don't find many at all. Indeed, if you know of any, please point me in their direction. So it's natural that sometimes I feel I must be doing something wrong, that I'm totally unable to figure out how to connect with a larger audience. And this is not because I want more recognition, but because I want to keep building a community that is bound by the passion for something beautiful. Sometimes I really don't know how I have kept going this long, years. It's like someone else takes over and keeps me consistent, because I am not very consistent usually. But it's also for two other reasons. One is that these videos are almost like a diary to myself, my progress, and two, because of those of you who show up week after week. And when I make these videos, it's you I make them for. And I want to end this one by saying thank you to one of my patrons, Chantal, for the lovely message she sent me today. And also thank you to all my other patrons who believe in me and make it possible for me to keep doing what I love, and for all of you watching today. I'll see you all next Sunday. Bye for now.
A significant life, just what it was needed.